Hi, welcome to this iOS 7 programming tutorial. Today I'm going to cover something quite useful, and that's how to use files, how to write them, how to retrieve information for them. It's going to be sort of a brief introduction, but again, this is going to help you a lot. So go to Xcode and create a new project. Sync of the application, we're going to name it file example, iPhone, next. Choose your directory and create it. Alright, the first thing, what our app is going to be basically a text field where we can put some text and a button to save that text into a file. So go to the object library and get a text field. You can put it right here and a button. You can name it save. And for a text field, let's make it a bit bigger. Alright. Now let's go to the assistant editor, and again this should be pretty straightforward by now. Create the connections. We are going to name them text field, and the button is going to be an IB action. We're going to name it save text. Alright, now go to the M file. You can close the assistant editor, and first of all in the view load we're going to check if there's already a file saved with our information. So in order to do that, you need to follow to go through the following steps. And as file manager, we need an object type file manager and string to hold info, delete a file, a direct and a string to hold the directory, and an ns array to hold the different paths that are in a certain directory. So first of all, file manager, we have to initialize it, and it's file manager default manager. Now we're going to identify the documents directory. And in order to do that, you just do paths equals ns search, path for stories in the main, for directories in the main, ns document directory, ns user domain mask, and yes, it's the pretty standard way. Now directory is going to be equal to paths 0, so the element we obtain when we search for domains, paths 0. And finally we have to create the path, so build the path to the data file. Data file is going to be equal to directory string by appending path component, and we're going to name this file data file .dat. This is the name of our file. So this returns a path, and with this we add data file.dat to the path. Finally, we have to check if the file already exists. If file manager file exists at path data file, we read the file and display it. So ns data buffer this is a way to store the information of a file. Data buffer is going to be equal to file manager contents at path data file. So the file manager goes to the path, and if we find some content in this path, so whatever the slash data file that it retrieves it and puts in the buffer. Now in a string data string and string lock init with data buffer encoding just ASCII and is ASCII string is encoding because we're going to save a string, and sorry, text field is going to be the text is going to be equal to data string. That's it. Now in the save button it's going to be very similar. So we need a file manager, we need an init data object, a data file, a directory, and an array of paths. Once we have all of this, we ask file manager is going to be equal again to ns file manager default manager. This is pretty much the same. Now paths equals ns search path ns documents directory ns domain ns user domain mask, and finally yes. Now directory is going to be equal to paths 0, and data file this time is going to be equal to, sorry for that, data file is going to be equal to directory string by appending path component. We're going to name the file data file dot dat. This is how we want to save our file. This is the file we want to retrieve. Notice the difference, although we named them the same. Data buffer. Did I misspell? Yep. Sorry. Data buffer equals text field of text data using encoding NSASCII string encoding, and the last thing we have to do is save the file. File manager, create file path, data file. The content is going to be data buffer, and the attributes are just going to be nil because we don't want to specify anything. There's a bunch of methods that can work with these functions, and I can't really cover them all in one tutorial, so if you want me to go deeper into this, put some comments, or you can also just look at the documentation. So let's give this a try. Here we can see that there was originally a file because I was doing some tries earlier, so you can go ahead. You won't have anything, and if you want to do a try, this is a try. Save it. It's going to override the older file because it has the same name. stop the emulator, and when you run the app again, you can see how it's populating it with the info from the file. Alright, this is going to be it for this tutorial. Again, thank you very much for watching. Just like, subscribe, anything is highly appreciated, and see you next time.